got any attendees yet?
Say that again, sorry.
Have we got anybody joined yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Should be fun. We'll give it sort of 4 or 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, sure.
So we're just going to give it a few more minutes for people to join. And welcome, Wambua. Right then, Joe, I think we'll start. And if obviously this is a recorded session, so if anyone else wants to watch it after, then they can, and we'll send it to everyone who registered. So yeah, we'll get going now. So hello everyone, to everyone who's here with us today, and also to those who are watching the recorded session. Welcome to our exclusive webinar here at Taurex. We're really happy to have you join us today, and I'm sure that after this webinar or recording, you'll be able to take something away that I'm sure is valuable and that you can add to your trading going forward. Now, this is an interactive session, so I do encourage you all to ask any questions that you may have. You know, we want to help you, and you can ask that in the Q&A panelist discussion, and we'll make sure we answer every single question that comes up. Or if you want to add a comment on afterwards, then we'll answer that as well. Okay, just very quickly, just some background about myself, because I know my tag there is Taurex. My name is Connor Woods, and I am the Senior Market Analyst and Trading Education Manager here at Taurex. And I've worked for the company for a few years now, a few years ago, sorry, and I've come back. And one of the things that I've always done as a trading coach is try and make life easier for traders. That's what we all want, right? And that is why we partnered with Acuity Trading. And they basically provide Taurex traders with a whole suite of trading tools. And that is why I'm also very excited to announce that we have the head of retail at Acuity Trading, Joe. He's with us today. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Hello, Connor. I'm very well, thank you. I'm really happy to be here, and hopefully, those that are watching, whether live or in the future, will get some good value from the conversation today.
100%. Yeah. So maybe just give us a little, brief introduction about yourself, your background, and, the partnership that we have here with Acuity Trading.
Gladly. So, as my name suggests, and as Connor's already introduced me, I'm Joe. I've been involved in financial markets now for 20 years in a variety of roles. So, primarily working with traders, like the people that are watching this video today. So, people that are, speculating or investing and looking to generate wealth through financial markets. So I started out as a broker many moons ago. One of my first experiences in financial markets was dealing with the financial crisis in 2008. So it was a bit of a baptism of fire. But these experiences are fantastic learning opportunities. And throughout time, we'll see these events in financial markets that we'll remember. And hopefully we can all take something away from that and learn and develop ourselves as traders as we progress in our journeys. Now, something that's always been a passionate subject for me is trying to empower traders, basically providing high quality information that is easily digestible. It is a really complex environment that we work in the financial industry. So any kind of tools that are being used by some of the big hedge funds, the asset managers, over time they become more accessible to retail customers like the people that are watching today. And essentially, what we are trying to do at Acuity Trading is take this complex information and deliver it to traders in a very easily digestible manner, with the primary goal of empowering traders to make them better traders, to help make better decisions, and to risk manage appropriately according to their risk tolerance and also the funds that they have available in their account. So yeah, really pleased to be working with Taurex. And as Connor mentioned, we've been working now for a number of years. And, there's lots of updates that are continually happening on our side with regards to the tool. So hopefully today we can jump into some of those and give you a bit of an insight into how we go about generating the information that we deliver to Taurex, and some of the logic behind all of this as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as you said, we've known each other for a few years now, and yeah, it's good to be back working on that partnership. So I know that we have a whole suite of tools. Like literally, there's so many, and they're all really easy. I've used them all. I use them all in my daily live streams. They are really easy to follow. So I believe we're lucky enough to have a demonstration of of one of the main ones that everyone loves. So maybe you could just give us a quick walkthrough of that tool, and yeah, maybe mention the other ones as well, and just see how easy it really is to use.
Absolutely. So the product I'm going to focus mostly on today is a tool called Analysis IQ. Now, this has evolved over a number of years from originally it was a company called PIA first. It then evolved into Signal Center, and now it's part of the Acuity trading set. So we've been providing trading analytics and trading ideas to investment banks, hedge funds, retail brokers, now going back to around 2009. So a significant period of time that we've been working within this industry, and our analysis has been trusted by many market participants in that period of time. Now, we've developed this to make it a lot more friendlier for people to understand and to actually access this information. The tools are available in multiple ways, and I believe the guys at Taurex have made this journey of accessing the tool very simple.
Yeah.
As we know, the kind of primary trading venue for customers at Taurex is through MetaTrader, and the tools are available in the MetaTrader environment. So what I'm going to do now is just share my screen, so that hopefully everybody can see the tool operating live within MetaTrader.
Yep, can see
Now,
that.
hopefully, yeah, that's all clear. So with regards to MetaTrader, it's a platform that's been used for many years. It's got some great functionality in terms of being able to program in various expert advisors that can cater to any demands that a trader may have, whether that's trading calculators, algorithms, copy trading, linking it up to various other things that it can integrate with. So it's a very good tool. But if you have never traded before in your life, it can be quite an overwhelming platform in that it can be difficult to navigate. So what we've tried to do is add in or install our list of expert advisors, where all of our customers can access the tools quite seamlessly. On the left-hand panel here, you'll see all the expert advisors. So we've made this quite simple. It's just a one-click, essentially, that will install all of these into your MetaTrader. And providing you've got the algo trading part here selected, you will be able to access all of the tools very quickly and start visualizing all of the opportunities and the actionability that our tools bring. So what we have here is a list of live trading ideas. These are ideas that have been generated by our team of analysts today. So all of these ideas that you see have a lifespan of 24 hours. So from the moment that they are published on the tool here, they will run for 24 hours, at which point we will cancel the trade ideas, and then we will look to republish new ones. One of the main reasons, sorry, go on, Connor.
I was just gonna say, do they do that analysis in the morning then? The analysts do that in the morning, whole load of analysis goes out and then it just gets refreshed the next day essentially. So it's always up to date.
It is always up to date, but what we're doing is kind of drip feeding the analysis throughout the day. You might have just noticed a moment ago the screen flickered and we saw LTC USD flash on the screen.
Yeah.
So a lot of the analysis is conducted around the London Open for the FX market. So all of the majors, the commodities, the European indices, that's when we publish most of the content around the London Open. And then throughout the day, we'll start to publish more. So the US indices will follow next. Then we'll start covering some cryptocurrencies, as that tends to be the most popular time that they're traded, around midday UK time. And then as we approach the end of the London trading session, we'll start to publish some Asia Pacific ideas that are relevant to, Australia, Asia, all of these regions where there's going to be more frequent trading happening on those particular instruments. So we're talking the HS50, the China 50, some of the APAC currencies like sterling versus Aussie dollar, or other currencies that may be linked to the yen. And other such markets. So it's a kind of a constant feed of information that's coming through.
Nice, brilliant, fantastic. Okay, so on there I see there's a confidence metric, right?
That's correct. Yes.
So that goes up to. So I'm just squinting my eyes because I've got a small screen. So it's up to 5. So are there any at the moment that we've got there that are sort of a higher confidence? Does that go like a different color, or like when it's?
So yeah, good question. It's one of the questions we always get asked, and I will go into more information about how the confidence score is actually calculated. But just for the purpose of kind of managing expectations with our customers, we never actually produce a trade idea with a maximum level of confidence.
Okay.
Now, despite the fact that we might be uber confident about a particular trade idea, in financial markets, there is always the risk that you could be wrong. And, we get it wrong a lot of the time, but we also
I
get
get
it
it
right a
wrong.
lot of the time as well. So, we don't want to be promoting trade ideas with max, and then a trader thinks, oh, this is a really good trade idea, and they start staking huge amounts of capital on one particular trade idea. So we try and sort of temper it a little bit.
Yeah.
A maximum of 80% effectively is what you'll see in our confidence scores across all of the markets that we cover.
Yeah, because I think a lot of traders will, and I've done this before because I've got my own trading journal and I have a similar sort of metric. And I never really put a confidence level of 5 because you're almost telling yourself it's got 100%. Like people confuse 100% confidence with 100% accuracy. I think
Yes.
that's the big difference. So yeah, no, I think that's a good way to do it. Definitely.
And on the flip side of that, you'll never see a confidence of 0. So the minimum confidence that you'll see is 1 bar, which is equal to 20%, or on common scale, it would be 1 out of 5.
Yep.
And although confidence scores can be low, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad ideas, because equally, if we've got a low confidence feeling, or based on our scoring methodology on a particular asset, we could be wrong on that as well. And in
Yep.
fact, where you get these low confidence trade ideas, they can actually be your biggest winners, believe it or not, because the risk that you're taking is generally perceived as being higher,
Yep.
and therefore the rewards for taking a riskier trade can be far greater. So I wouldn't discount any of these trade ideas as being valid, or limit yourself to only looking at the high confidence trade ideas.
Definitely.
I'll go into a bit more detail about how you can use these trade ideas in your own kind of journey, depending on where you're at in terms of your level
Okay.
of experience.
Fantastic. No, sounds good. Brilliant.
So primarily what we have on the screen here is some really quick and actionable trade ideas. So if you're in a hurry, if you like what you see on the screen here, if it immediately is kind of seen as in line with your own thoughts today. So if you're looking at the S&P 500, and based on yesterday's massive sell-off due to the DeepSeek
Yeah.
AI situation that's been playing out, you might think, okay, I really like the look of this idea. I can, be looking at my own charts. I can see that, 6120 was a resistance level, and that's an area that I was targeting as well. You can immediately see the exit levels as well. So the target on the downside and the stop loss, should we be wrong on this particular trade.
Yep.
And if you're happy with all of those parameters, quite simply, you can just click that trade now button, and it will automatically populate the deal ticket with all of the relevant information for you to go ahead and copy that trade.
Fantastic. Nice.
Now, the only thing you will need to change is the volume. So we've pre-filled this level at the minimum deal ticket value, which is at 0.01 lots for this particular market. Obviously, if you've got a higher risk tolerance, you might want to play around with that and risk whatever is appropriate for you, or based on your trading plan of how much you risk on a per trade basis.
Brilliant. Fantastic. So do you know just quickly, the trade ideas that come out there, is there a correlation with, because you said about, the S&P 500 with what happened yesterday, the big crash, etc. Is there a correlation with, when something's hot and trendy in the news, that typically tends to be the markets that the analysts decide to trade because they've got more opportunity and more volatility? Is that right? Or can it be anything?
Yeah, that is definitely factored in. So what we are committed to do as a team of analysts is produce 50 trade ideas every single day on 50
Wow.
different markets. So regardless of if we feel there's opportunity in a particular market, we will still try and present what we believe is the best case scenario, or based on the indicators that we use, provides the best trading opportunity on that particular day for that particular market. Now, don't get me wrong, there might be times in the markets where there is just complete sideways price action in an asset that we cover, and that may be reflected in the confidence score, that we're not getting any particular bias in either direction. That does happen. But also what you'll notice is that all of these trade ideas in the type here are pending orders. So these are
Yep.
resting orders in the market, and we are waiting for the markets to hit our predetermined levels before we execute a trade.
Yep.
Now,
Makes
on
sense.
average, around 35% of our trade ideas will actually reach the specific level that we're looking to execute. So although we're producing 50 trade ideas a day, of course, 50 trade ideas could potentially trigger in one day if we had a really volatile event. But most of the time, it's around about 35 to 40% of those trade ideas will actually go ahead and be live in the market.
Well, that makes sense as well because as a trader, you wouldn't want to have that many trades going on at one time. It can probably be quite confusing. So I get why you do that. And there is absolutely no trades that get sent which are just at the market level. They're always all limit trades.
Correct. Yes. And one of the benefits of this is if you are a trader with limited time, then you may be able to set yourself up that you take a look at this analysis in the morning as part of your daily routine. You select from the list of assets that we have here particular trade setups that resonate with you or ideas that you like the look of, and you can just simply set these orders and forget about them for the rest of the day. The situation with signal providers that come up with at market trade ideas is that there could be big gyrations in price just prior to you pressing that button, which could be the difference between you getting in far too early or far too late on these
Mm.
trade ideas, and that can really impact your overall outcomes. So from our perspective and my perspective and years of doing this and the experience that we have, is by taking a more considered approach, a slower approach, and waiting for the market levels to reach our specific levels, we find is a much fairer way for everybody to enjoy the content rather than feeling rushed and thinking, oh my God, I've missed this trade idea. I've got to quickly press the button and get the trade on, at which point
Yeah.
it may be too late.
Well, and as a trader, as a trader myself, if I was using this, then the good thing is it's already predetermined the price, the stop loss, and the take profit when you click trade now. So it's not like you have to go over to MT4, MT5, and then actually type those figures in because that can take some time, especially when you're doing so many. So it literally is you change the volume, you press trade now, you change the volume, and the trade set up for it, done.
Yeah. So if I click place the order, I can see the order was created successfully, and that will now sit in my panel below as a
Nice.
resting order waiting to be executed.
Fantastic. No, that's amazing. Thank you very much. We've also got some these trade ideas going into our Discord channel, right?
That's
That's
correct. Yeah.
that's another feature that you've got with us basically where we have a Discord channel which is set up a few weeks ago by myself. So I'll make sure I put the link in the chat as well, and the people that are watching this on catch up can join that Discord channel and actually see those very trade ideas that come on that analysis IQ get sent into the Discord, which is quite cool.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
hopefully you can see the screen here. It comes under the premium tools
Yep.
or premium signals, sorry, under the tools section on the left-hand side. And Connor's done a fantastic job here of segmenting different areas, which, for any trader, there's going to be some really valuable resources in here. And also, a community feel, which will allow you to kind of share ideas and speak to other like-minded traders. So, yeah, we've seen huge usage in things like Discord and Telegram. And yeah, would fully encourage anybody watching this to get involved.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to copy the link now and put that in the chat so people can see that if they'd like to join. Okay,
One thing
fantastic.
I'd like to come back to, Connor, that you mentioned, and I don't think I fully answered,
Sure.
was about the reaction to market conditions. So, as we saw yesterday, there was a big sell-off in a number of US indices, and particularly the tech sector, to being hit by that. Now, because we have a team of analysts, although we use artificial intelligence and other tools to assist us with the creation of these trade ideas, ultimately it is a person behind this that's creating the idea, someone that's really experienced, someone that's been doing this for a very long period of time. Now, there is a lot of AI signals or bots that are creating trade ideas, or pattern recognition tools, or tools that rely on indicators to trade ideas. Now, they certainly have a use, in my opinion, but where we differ, and by having that human element, is that we're a cognizant of what's going on in the markets. We know that there's major economic data coming out in the next
Mm.
24 hours. We know what's been happening in the news and what is driving markets at this particular moment in time. And because of all of those factors, we can actually create trade ideas that are more aware of what's going on in the markets at the moment, rather than relying on, I don't know, the RSI has crossed above 70,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
there's a triangle pattern that's formed on the daily chart, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, well, you can see that from the trade ideas there, right? Because you're quite clearly following momentum and sentiment. So it's not just as you say, there's an algo in the background which triggers when a moving average has been hit, and that's it. We're going to sell limit there, for example. Instead, there's actually thought behind what's going on actually in the economy and the wider space and what's really driving the markets. And that's then used to sort of follow sentiment and follow momentum because there's sell limits there on the stock market, which is probably not a trade idea you'd have on normally, but because of the current situation from DeepSeek yesterday, it's a trade idea that the analysts are trying to take advantage of.
Exactly. And each of these trade ideas, I mean, one of the big things for us is about education. And obviously, that's a topic that's very passionate for you as well. So if you click on any of these trade ideas, you're going to get a lot more information and,
Wow.
some specifics about why this trade idea has been generated today. As a minimum, every single trade idea that we publish has 5 reasons effectively, or 5 lines of text that describe what it is we're seeing on the chart and why we believe this is a valid opportunity today. So like we had on the tile, we've still got all the main levels, the entry levels, the targets, the stops, but here we're starting to provide some more color around the trade idea. Why do we think this is a good opportunity today? Now, the beauty of having a team of analysts, in my opinion as well, is that they all have different opinions.
Yep.
Technical analysis on its own is a very subjective thing. They all have different skills and they all employ different strategies. So we can see with this particular one that the analyst has mentioned a 5 wave bullish count. Now, this is referring to Elliott wave, which is a
Yep.
highly subjective method of analyzing markets. It's not for everybody because it can be very complex. But our analysts have got a good handle on this, and this particular analyst it's a method that they use with regularity. You'll see it throughout any trade ideas that they generate, and you may be able to then determine which ideas are coming from which analyst on that basis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so they've mentioned that and suggested that the 5 wave count is now complete. At the end of a
Yep.
5 wave, typically what you would see is a corrective move down in an ABC formation. So essentially, the analyst is suggesting here that we are going to perhaps see a deeper correction in the US 500, given that we saw this volatility yesterday. And for those of you with a keen eye looking at this chart, you can see there was a decent uptrend. Then we saw this gap lower and we saw a huge amount of volatility, some big red candles followed by this pretty extreme hammer formation that we've seen on the 4-hour chart, indicating that perhaps the move was finished and that we were going to see a correction higher, which indeed has played out. Now, in terms of further explanation here, majority of the initial daily losses are being recaptured. So that's referencing what we saw yesterday.
Yep.
Overnight, we've seen a positive theme in equities. So the initial concerns about DeepSeek and the costs around that, and the valuations of some of these bigger tech firms, maybe in a bit of a bubble. And as a result, we've seen a positive theme today because we're seeing a recovery. People are buying the dip, which is pretty typical for the US markets.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So what people can do essentially is because they can load up the bigger picture of the in-depth analysis, they can sort of get that once they use it a few times, they'll know that a certain traders may be always using the Elliott wave. And if there's someone that happens to be, someone who's learning Elliott wave or someone who is comfortable with Elliott wave, they could follow. They don't have to place all the trades. They can just follow that particular analyst who is clearly, skilled at using Elliott wave. And I know that's just one example. There might be someone who particularly is good at using, I don't know, RSI indicator. And when you see that sort of trend in the trade ideas, as a trader, you go, right, I'm always gonna, gravitate towards that person. So you've got always got that personal preference sort of thing.
Absolutely, and not just that, it can also be a great confirmation tool. So, throughout the years of doing this, there's various kind of ways I've seen people use the tool. Obviously, the most clear one is if we provide a trade idea for you and you like the idea, you go ahead and place the trade. But it can and should also be used as a validation tool. So if you are following Elliott wave studies and this matches up roughly with the kind of analysis that you're doing on your own chart, and you've got someone else with 30 years of experience saying to you at the same time, this is a 5-wave bullish count, and you can see that yourself on your own charts.
Yeah,
It's that extra validation that you need to go ahead and have that confidence to go and place the trade.
100%. No, that sounds great. Yeah, is that all the features that we've got? Have we covered them all?
So, I mean, just another kind of ways of interpreting some of the information on here is we have support and resistance levels, which
Nice.
for those who are familiar with support and resistance, it's kind of the entry level stuff for trading. You can try and create your own trade ideas from the support and resistance levels as well. Again, it might be a validation tool. You've noted that there's a resistance at 6,100 on S&P 500. We're trying to sell at 6,120 today. But if you feel really like you want to get into the market a bit sooner than that, then by all means, you can take a look at that 6,100 level and think, okay, I've got the bias because we've already suggested that we're looking to
Yep.
sell, but perhaps you want to get into the market a little bit sooner. And on the flip side of that, we've got a target of 58.85, which might be a bit ambitious today if we don't get much volatility. And therefore, perhaps you want to use one of the support levels that we've suggested here in front of that to maybe tighten the parameters of the trade, but you're still
Yeah.
getting a kind of a bit of guidance there.
100%. And I suppose a lot of people, because by the way, I'm going to drop this webinar into that Discord channel, into that premium signals bit so people can see it all the time, and I'll pin it. So a lot of people will probably be wondering results, right? When we're talking about
Absolutely.
trade ideas and results, how transparent are we in terms of showing when a trade's won or showing when a trade's lost?
Well, I've always been, a very honest and upfront person, and I believe that if we're going to put out this kind of content, then we should always be able to back it up with some results. Just one more thing to add. I mean, we've got in here as well on the signals any upcoming economic data
Nice.
that's coming out. So, do keep an eye on that, because obviously, if there's a huge high impact event that's coming out in the next 24 hours, then you want to be aware of how that could potentially impact this particular trade setup. So there's nothing out in the next 24 hours that's likely to impact New Zealand dollar and sterling. But do check that, because it's of vital importance. And perhaps
Good
maybe
point.
at another date we can run through the economic calendar tool that we have, and how we can utilize that. And I know you're doing that anyway on your daily streams.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, let's go into some performance stats then. So we've been tracking stats since 2017. We do have results that go back beyond that, but there was a methodology change in 2017. So we've got a fair amount of data here. Let me just share the screen. Hopefully that's all there for everybody to see.
Yeah. Let's just come up.
Okay, so this is actually the last quarter, but I can go back to 2017. Let's go all the way back and have a look at how the trade ideas have performed in that time period. So it might take a
Wow.
second or two to run.
That's quite rare. I can say
Yes,
that from experience. It's quite rare to see
it,
that.
it is. But I just feel there's so many people out there in the industry that are leading people astray with some of this stuff, or not prepared to kind of back it up with any results. And that's one of the sort of key differentiators, I suppose, about how we
Yeah.
operate compared to some others. So what we have here is nearly 24,000 trades that have gone live
Wow.
since 2017. And we've measured this in a couple of different ways. So on a hypothetical basis, we've got a balance of £1,000. Now we look at it in two different ways. You can either risk a percentage of your capital on each trade, or you can risk a fixed amount. So if you risked £10 or $10, whatever your currency you're using, on every single trade, how
Yeah.
would that differentiate compared to risking a percentage amount on each trade?
Okay.
Now, if you're risking a percentage, that means that if you go through a period of success, you're effectively going to be reinvesting your profit. So you're going to
Yes.
benefit from compounding over a long period of time. Now, some people, this might sound like a very low amount to risk on a particular trade. But if you speak to professional traders or those that have been highly successful, on average, I would say they're risking somewhere between half of 1% to maybe 2% per trade. Now,
That's what I do.
yeah, I mean, I think that's what most guys that have been around a while, how they would operate. But also, I understand if you're very new to trading and you've just put $1,000 in your account, you might want to have a bit of fun, or you might have some expectations that you're going to turn that $1,000 into $5,000 in a very quick space of time. I mean, I'm really sorry to break it to everybody, but that is kind of really, really difficult to do.
Yeah.
And if that is kind of your expectation, then maybe you should have a rethink or consider, maybe reducing your expectations around what trading can actually deliver you. And I'm sure everybody will get there. It takes time, but we all have to learn sometimes the hard way
Yes.
about the pitfalls of trading. Now, one thing to mention here, and it's something that's always raised when I have these conversations with people, we have a win rate over nearly 24,000 trades of 46.03%. Now, I know there's people out there that will be telling you they've got 90% win rates, or
Yeah.
whatever it is they want to try and pretend that they have. And you know what, they may do. But my expectation or my belief would be if they've got really high win rates, they're probably taking very, very small profits. But when they get losing trades, they can be very, very large. Now, one of the key criteria for our analysts is that every single trade idea that they publish must have a risk reward ratio of at least 2 to 1.
Okay.
So, in very plain terms, if you risk $1 on a trade, as a minimum, we want to try and make at least $2 for that risk that we are taking. Now, on
That makes sense.
average, it's about $2.84, and that's across nearly 24,000 trades.
Wow.
So that's a non-negotiable for us. And it's a good habit to get into, I think. Obviously sometimes there will be trades that we're taking smaller profits on, but on average we're looking for bigger returns for the risk that we're taking. Every time you place a trade, you are taking risk. Now, if I'm taking risk in any form of life, whether that be in deciding to take a new job, or deciding, what to do, to whether I should climb a mountain or something like that, I want the risk that I'm taking to have a substantial reward depending on the level of risk that I'm taking. So if I'm going to put myself in a dangerous situation, I need to make sure that the reward for doing that is going to be well worth it.
Is worth it. Yeah. Yeah. And also just touching on that point about the win rate, it's a conversation I have with many people who I've taught in the past. And people struggle to get their head around the fact that quite often you lose more trades than you win, but with solid risk reward and solid risk management, you end up on top. And there's not many things in life that you can say that that's the case for, which is the power of trading, but also a lot of time people's downfalls, right? Because they see that and think, being able to mentally manage the fact that you're losing more trades quantity wise than winning, but still being in profit. When you can grasp your head around that, you'll take a big step. So that's good to see that over that time period. Yeah, over that time period from 2017, did you say?
Yes.
You're 46%, so you're losing more trades than you're winning, but overall the profit's there to see, which is great.
Yeah. So if we had traded every single trade idea that we've ever published, and trying to replicate this is almost going to be impossible because there's 50 trade ideas a day. Most people aren't going to have the margin capabilities to be able to run all of these trades simultaneously. So it may be that you want to pick a basket of ideas that you like, rather than trying to replicate every single thing that we do. Now, if you'd placed 1% worth of risk on every single trade, that £1,000 could have appreciated by around 470% in that time period,
Wow.
with a drawdown of 57%. So the maximum that you would have lost from peak to trough could have been over half your money in that time period. But sticking with the same rules, sticking with the same approach, we can see that the rewards over a long period of time have been quite successful.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, that's really good to share that. I've got to say, I've never ever seen that genuinely, especially with a database that big. So, thank you very much.
No problem at all. So we do have some more granular data about, what days of the week we tend to perform well on, what months of the year tend to be best, as well as, a breakdown of what the best performing assets have been historically as well. One of the new upgrades that will be available to Taurex customers very soon is that we will be publishing this information within the trade ideas themselves.
Okay.
And let me just share my screen to demonstrate that.
Yep.
This is actually available now. So Connor, you and I can have a conversation at a later date to make sure we get this available to everybody.
Definitely.
So this is the same terminal that I showed. This is in a widget format. What I showed previously was within the MT5 environment. And we have all the same information, but with a few added benefits here. So if I click on the US 30 today, we've got below here trade idea performance. So this is actually showing you the last 10 trades on US 30 or the Dow Jones, and providing you with some statistics as well. So we're just building out the database on this. So we've got the entire history of the trade ideas, but you can actually drill down into each of these individual trade ideas and see how
Wow.
they performed. You can get information on the historic win rate of this particular asset. So if you see that we've got a historic 46% win rate on Dow, but the last 5 trades have been losers, that might be something you're head to think, okay, well, there might be a reversion to the mean here at some point, and these guys are going to get one right based on their historic win rate.
100%. Yeah.
We've also got the average duration. This is in hours. So on average, our trades last about 11 hours on the Dow. And if you take the history of our trade ideas, on average, we're making 1.25%.
Wow.
And we've got the profit factor in there as well. Each of these things have information icons, which again help with that kind of educational side, just to familiarize yourself with terminology that's used within the industry.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's giving everyone that choice, isn't it? So you're giving them all the data, all the history of all the trade ideas on that, and then it is ultimately up to them to still make the decision. But it's also good to know that people can go either way, right? They could either just go, I'm just going to copy all of these and place all of them because I know over a long time period we're going to be ending up, yeah, in profit based off of the last 8 years or whatever.
Yep.
Or I can be a bit more selective in what I do and try and spot some differences. Okay, so if those last 5 have lost, let's try and get on the next one of those because I know that potentially that's got a better chance of winning. You can pretty much go any route with it.
Yeah, and we've applied these filters as well. So, from the 50 ideas that we're producing a day, you can really kind of drill down into what's interesting for you. If you only want to trade commodities or only want to trade FX, or if you want to look at what's underperforming at the moment and see if there's going to be an uplift, or trying to play the probabilities that we're going to get a winner very soon based on what's happened previously, or if you want to start looking at, what's got the best win rates or profit factors, you can apply all of these things as well, and that may lead you to trading assets that you might not have traded before.
Yeah.
I know most people watching this probably are trading either gold or euro US dollar or oil. But why not broaden your horizons and try and find some other assets out there which have got better technical setups and structures, and you might find that you actually have more success with those than continually trading the same assets over and
Yeah,
over again.
definitely. And I think that it's an important point to make that, this isn't just for people who, necessarily want the lazy option just to place the trade that you're showing, but people can also use it to enhance themselves if they're already experienced in trading. You don't have to place all of those trades. If there's a particular thing that you like, you can go down that road if you like to, and it doesn't just have to be for complete newbie traders, maybe who haven't done this before.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Um, I mean, I'm conscious of time. I don't want to make this too long, but there is one more thing I want to show just from a
That's
risk
fine.
reward perspective and about managing expectations. So again, back to the sheet here. So what we have here is a winning approach. Okay, we've been doing this for a long period of time, and we can see that if you'd followed all of the trades, you should have done pretty well by doing that, or at least even if you'd picked a selection of them, and combined them, hopefully you would get a positive outcome by doing so. Now, this is on the basis of risking 1% per trade. Now, it's very common within the industry that traders try and risk more than that. Now, if I just change this one metric and I double my amount of risk that I put on every single trade from 1% to 2%,
Yeah.
we can actually see that the returns actually diminish in that period and the
Wow.
drawdown becomes almost 100% of the trading capital. So although you would have experienced a good uplift overall, By risking too much on trades, you can actually have a detrimental effect. And I would advise anybody watching this to maybe analyze your own strategy and what you're doing, and maybe run a simple back test that if you had risked a fixed amount or a position size equivalent to a percentage of your capital on every trade, you might actually be sitting on a winning strategy and you don't know it because you're risking too much on those particular trade setups.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, you would have just assumed that a strategy which is profitable over that time period, if you placed more risk on it, then because that would be the temptation now, right? Because people
Of
would have
course.
seen that and they would have gone, well, why don't I just do 2%? Because that's going to double. That's going to double what I win. But it doesn't work like that. So that's really really important question. You don't have to risk a lot at all if you stay in it in the long run and you risk a sensible 1%, 0.5% over a long time period. That's going to be the true winners of this industry, basically.
Absolutely. So, the sweet spot probably is around 0.5%. If you look at the steepness of the equity curve and the drawdown there is less than 30%, that's really manageable. And if we break that down over an annualized basis, that 300% over since 2017, you would be outperforming most of the major global hedge funds
Hedge funds,
in the
yeah.
world
Yep.
with that kind of return. So,
Yeah, 100%.
if you're trying to aim for 200%, I think the average return from a hedge fund last year was about 24%. So if you're anywhere near that, you are absolutely smashing it as a trader. But you need to give yourself a bit of a pat on the back rather than trying to shoot for these 100, 200, 300% returns.
No, brilliant. No, that makes absolute sense. Yeah, no, definitely. Okay. And I think that probably just about wraps things up, Joe. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Unless there's any questions, but
Yeah.
if
Well,
there are questions, we can perhaps direct them through the Discord if people join, and I'd be very happy to jump in occasionally and answer any questions people may have.
yes, Joe is in our Discord channel, which is great. So he will answer those questions for us and also me as well, of course. But if anyone does have any questions in the meantime, then feel free to put them in the Q&A in the panelist discussion. We haven't had any yet, but I will be putting this recording inside Discord and probably be sending it to people who have registered as well, of course. So I'd just like to thank you, Joe, for spending your time to come and join us today. We do really appreciate it, and I'm sure that we'll have more of these going forward, potentially even in a podcast scenario, which is launching soon. So just a little plug there.
It would be an absolute
And
honor. It's been
yeah,
a
so
yeah, it's
thank
been
you
a
very
pleasure.
much, Joe. Also, big thank you to everyone who's joined us today. And if you do want access to our Discord channel or to any of the tools, etc., you can join that. I launched this for Taurex at the start of the year, and our goal is to build a community of like-minded traders this year. I'm live streaming every single day my own trading journey, and I always have been using the Acuity tools on those streams as well. So make sure you get involved in them. It's really easy as well. All you need to do is have a live account with us at Taurex, and you can get access to those tools. And anything else you wanted to say, Joe, or shall we wrap it up there?
I think we can wrap it up there. I'd just like to thank you again for inviting me along, and hopefully anybody that joined or watches this video subsequently got some value from it. And yeah, please feel free to reach out as well.
Thank you very much. Okay, we haven't got any questions, so we'll end it there, and we look forward to seeing everyone very soon. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.